Everyone, welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video, and today I got for you not necessarily a deck guide, not necessarily a character review, more of just like a, I know you're frustrated with Godzilla Earth. I'm going to show you the deck I've been using all season, and I'm going to show you two decks that I am not recommending in the state that they're in that you take them into the arena. I don't know how well they'll do. I made them purely just to go over strategy, not necessarily like use this exact deck and guarantee wins. It's nothing like that. I'm going to show you the deck that I am using to get wins, and I'm going to show you two decks that I made that are just like a rough draft of what you should be doing. Now, if you don't want to, if you're a little skeptical on my take on everything, I'm currently ranked 72 on the global leaderboard. I'm up there. I'm in the top 100 this season. Right here, number 72. Go to my position. Shout out to everyone up here. Luvatar, Goji Fan, Beast Rex stuff is 74. Shout out. So I'm a trustworthy source of information on how to get wins, at least a little bit, right? I got the 500 Gamera wins. I'm in 72 spot. I was 88 only a few days ago. So I'm going to go over what I'm using to get wins, and then I'm going to show you other stuff that I think is noticeable, because Godzilla Earth is really prevalent right now, and everyone's getting sick of them. So this is the deck that I have been using for the last pretty much since the season began. You don't have to use Gamera in this deck. I was using him for the leader wins. If I were to go with a more optimal deck, it would be this. I had Gamera in there for the wins, although Gamera's leader ability where he knocks characters back is really good, and it'll knock back Godzilla Earth a considerable amount. I'm seeing a lot of people this season run Mecha Godzilla 92 for that knockback for the Earths. I don't think that's super optimal. I would rather at least this season run Gamera over him, because Gamera's leader ability is at least AoE. But if I were to optimally run this, it would be Godzilla 89, so it's probably good that I made this video so I could throw him in, and I don't have to do any more extra Gamera wins. I have Gigan, 2004 in here. Crazy character, very high DPS. He just shreds up enemies left and right. If Godzilla Earth isn't focused on him, say your Earth is fighting another Earth, you send Gigan in and he's not getting hit by that beam, he's going to rip up another Earth. His attack speed is, like 1.4 seconds or something like that? He costs 1.6 seconds. And he just received like a damage and a health boost. I think a damage and a health boost, or he got a buff of some kind 2 or 3 months ago. He's really good. I'm using Destroya. Destroya is an absolute powerhouse, and getting the Destroya perfect form for 3 energy is a wicked steal. So 9 times out of 10, I'm sending him up on the left or the right side, getting him to the flying stage, and then he can die. That's fine, right? Once he's the flying stage and he returns to my hand at that 3 cost, I have been rushing the field on one side, so I'll use like Godzilla Earth on the left or Mothra Leo on the left, keep the opponent occupied. I'll drop him on the right, so they're like, oh, do I have to deal with this Earth or this Leo? And then there's also going to be a Destroya pulling up, So if they just expended their resources to deal with Leo or Earth on the other side, odds are they're not going to be super prepared to deal with Destroya. He's going to evolve 9 times out of 10, unless they're really quick to act or they're way higher level than you. And you're going to get the perfect form for 3. So it is a little bit of expensive of a deck between Earth and Destroya, but getting the Destroya out for 3 when you're doing a pincer maneuver usually ends a battle. Dimension Tide's really good. You can use Psychic Cores too, but I've been, at the behest of my stream chat, I have been using Dimension Tide a lot more. I'm getting better with it, guys, I promise. Take that as you will. But being able to pull characters this season into Godzilla Earth, into the 4th Angel, into Biollante, into GMK, into the 10th Angel, anything with AoE or Pierce, into Desgador even, is really, really good. There's a lot of high health characters running around, so being able to group them up to maximize your damage output is super helpful. Dimension Tide is an MVP this season, no doubt. Godzilla Earth is in this deck because of course he is, and we're talking about Godzilla Earth counters in this video. He is the ultimate Godzilla Earth counter. Right? It's just, sometimes it comes down to who played their Earth better, or who did a misplay, and one misplay can open up the floodgates for so much other stuff, right? It's a lot different than Kumo. Kumo Augment was 3 cost. You could play him just on repeat, play him again, play him again, play him again, wherever you wanted, and he would just do his thing. It gets a little bit more technical with Earth. Sometimes it seems brain dead. You just drop Earth and let him go. But when it comes to like the high-end levels of gameplay, and it's an Earth and Earth matchup, One bad play, one bad placement of a unit, one bad dimension tide is the difference between if you're winning the match or not. So Earth is by far the best Earth counter, and he's just the best unit in the game right now. I recommend that you run him in some capacity. I'm using Kamacuras because of a deck that we'll talk about in a little bit, but I am seeing a ton, or I guess I'll mention it now, leader spam is everywhere, and we're going to talk about that in this video, but leader spam is everywhere. People are dropping Kiryus, Mogeras on me, whatever, 4th Angel and Gigan. I have Kamacuras in here, and sometimes I have Bylante in here. But Kamacuras is pretty much just to deal with stuff like that. I've been using Gamera as my lead, like I said, and using a 4-star with a low health. You know, I level 18 Gamera or level 40 GD9. I don't have a lot of time to win my matches if I'm getting spammed with the trains or Mogeras and Kiryu, so I got to react fast. That's why the Kamacuras are here. But now that I don't need to get the leader wins, Gauss is rentable this season. Gauss would probably also be a good substitute instead. Mothra Leo is just an absolute hoss. Does a lot of damage on that one hit with the charge. It flies, which is great because you're going to avoid a lot of G89s that are running around. You're going to be able to avoid a lot of the Gigans that are running around. There's some Jet Jaguars that are appearing at a singular point. Mothra Leo is going to get around most of them, and that big chunk damage on Earth is phenomenal. This is my flex spot right here. I use Bylante when it's either New York or London because the 80% damage boost is great, and even with her attack speed, that says leader, I don't want that. Her attack speed when she's like this is 1.4 seconds. She gets that 80% damage boost when she's in water. That versus a Godzilla Earth, especially if the Earth isn't paying attention, is monstrous amounts of damage. So I keep her on me at all times, unless while I'm on Tokyo. When I'm on Tokyo, I switch to the 4th Angel. His straight up damage output is crazy. His health is ridiculous, and that explosion is also really good. So this is the deck that I'm using. I understand my levels are higher than a lot of other people, but this is getting a lot of wins for me. The strategy is solid. You know, the game plan is solid. You're basically, you know, you drop Earth, or you're dropping Earth and you're letting him do his thing while you pincer on the other side, or you are, you know, mostly playing all the lower costs, and at the end of the match you surprise them with Earth. Sometimes I won't even let people see that I have Earth until we're in overtime, and I use everything else, and then, you know, when the leaders start getting close, I drop a surprise Earth, and they don't even know where that came from, right? They're not prepared for it. It says Gamera wins. We were doing the Gamera. Okay, so that's my deck. Spent a little while on that. Let me just show you two other kinds of styles that I think are seeing a resurgence in the meta this month at least. We'll have to see where it goes. Both these decks' importance in the meta really hinges on where Earth is in the meta. So take a look at this one first. This is the Gigan deck. Like I said earlier, these are not like, don't take this exact deck in. This is just like Gigan as a leader, and then like cards that work really well, or characters, I guess, that work really well in a Gigan themed deck. Basically, with these decks, a lot of people are committing 9 or more energy to drop Earth and whatever else on their push, and a lot of other people aren't really. You're not seeing a lot of Kamacuras this season, right? You're not seeing a lot of lower cost characters. People are trying to use higher energy characters, 5 and up specifically. So with Gigan, the general game plan is drop some of your heavy hitters, drop like Earth, drop, what's his name, GD9, 4th Angel, right, and Gearus. Drop them somewhere on the side. You hit that leader ability, you rush them down, you give them Psychic Cores to support them, you throw Mogera in there before they can reach to distract the leader. Most times you could probably get a win. There's some guys that'll stop you, like Dimension Tide can really throw a wrench in this. Common Rider leader with that ability, I've seen that a few times as well this season. So this isn't like obviously the most optimal deck, but the rushing, every other season of this game, I would always say rushing is a good strategy, but not particularly meta. I still don't think it's meta this season, but it is one of the more optimal counters. I think the meta is just running a really beefy Earth deck and just going blow for blow with other Earths and just try to outplay them. But if you want to try to sneak a win, get like a cheeky win, you could use this. You could use, instead of the Psychic Cores, you could use Train Bombs instead. You could also use Dimension Tide to move people into your Earth, into your 4th Angel, into your Leo, into your GD9, whatever. But yeah, so Gigan Rush is everywhere. It is kind of predictable because I'm seeing a lot of people also doing stuff like this. GD9 leader. They'll play 4th Angel on either side, right up against the wall, And as soon as I see a 4th Angel up on the boundaries of the map, I know that they're going to bring a Gigan, because Gigan is going to push him along the boundary straight to my lead. Dimension Tide, you can rip the Gigan away, you can rip the 4th Angel away. Biolante's low cost, Gigan 04 is low cost, Kamakuris low cost. You can counter this push. But this is a very popular combo. Even people in like the top 100 are using this strategy to secure wins, and it works. It really does work. It is difficult to counter, especially say I played Earth on the left side, and then I played, I don't know, Mothra Leo on the left side, and maybe I don't have a ton of energy, and you put this down on me. If I don't have like Kamakuris, Dimension Tide, or something quick to react, especially if I'm using the Gamma leader, like I would have been fucked. Obviously, a lot harder to do with a higher level leader, but regardless, it's a strategy that works. It's extremely sound. It's been a decent enough strategy for the entire time that 4th Angel has been around. People have been using it. It is more viable right now because of how much energy your opponents are going to be dedicating to other areas of the map. You can kind of sneak around them and get a cheeky win with this. Additionally, I kind of just want to bring up Kiryu Stall, and this isn't a Kiryu Stall deck. These are just like other characters that I think probably are fine to use. GMK behind Earth is really good, and being able, like I said, we're talking about misplays here. You know, Earth versus Earth violence. It only takes one misplay to change the tide of battle, and sometimes, you know, putting a negative 10% debuff on the Earth is make or break. You could use Megalon, but he's not going to survive nearly as much hits. You're going to be able to get that debuff off a lot more, and you get that AoE heal block. Megalon should go here too, but I'm mentioning him so he counts. But I lost my train of thought, but yeah, GMK is pretty decent this season. He's not super optimal, but I still enjoy him, but maybe that's because mine's a higher level. But there have been definitely a few GMKs that are cleaning up that I've come against in the top 100, especially with how popular Gauss is. They're fucking up my Kamakuris, they'll fuck up the Gauss, and they'll fuck up the Destroy Larva that come after the Destroy Perfect form. So GMK is pretty good. You could use any AoE character. I've seen Hedera being used too, but I prefer GMK, so I'm going to mention him here. 10th Angel, also super good. Fly, so you're avoiding a lot of the ground damage. Has piercing, has really long range, is immune to explosion, so 4th Angel, and does an explosion itself. Also a very good option to put in your deck. I like it a lot. I have Kiryu here in the leader position because just stall out the enemy with Kiryu and hit him with trains and you'll win, right? So you just have to take them into overtime until the leads start moving closer. As soon as they start moving closer, you hit them with the Absolute Zero Cannon, and then you hit them with trains or Mogera or missiles or whatever, and you get the win. It's a lot, I think, less reliable than trying to cheese out something like this, but I want to say it's a lot less predictable. Because when I see the setup here between 4th Angel and Gigan, whether Gigan's the leader or not, I see 4th Angel and I see Gigan, I know what's going on, right? That is predictable, and I can counter this. Like, I can see this, and I can prepare for this. There's not many ways to avoid getting Absolute Zero Cannon. You can either hold a Psychic Chorus in your hand, and as soon as Absolute Zero comes out, you drop it on yourself, so as soon as, you know, as soon as you get damage taken, you start healing back, and hopefully you survive the trains or the Mogera, whichever's coming next. Or you use Kamen Rider as a leader, and then you do his ability, and if you time it just right, he becomes immune to effects. Absolute Zero Cannon counts as an effect, or he becomes immune to damage or effects or something, and he'll dodge the Absolute Zero Cannon if you time it right, which is good, but not a lot of people are using Kamen Rider leader. So Gigan is a lot more predictable if he's going to use his leader ability or if he's going to push the 4th Angel, and it's easy to counter. Kiryu is like, you need to win that battle before overtime clocks in. Otherwise, you're probably going to lose. A lot harder to counter, probably a lot more reliable as a leader this season. You don't even need to use a particularly Kiryu stall deck. You could use this deck that I've been using and just make Kiryu your leader instead of GD9 and probably do well. You know? So Kiryu's great. I had another character that I wanted to mention. I wanted to do an honorable mention. I'm just going to scroll through and just mention people. King Caesar, pretty decent this season. He's like a dollar store version of Mothra Leo. Pretty fine. There's a lot of Gigan 04s running around. They'll stop him in his tracks with the stun. But if your opponent doesn't have Gigan, you're going to get a significant amount of damage off on Earth. That's pretty good. Not the best counter, but Leo is better. But He's not terrible. Super X I like a lot. Yes, there's a lot of Dimension Tides, and there's a lot of Earth, so they could hit him if they drag him in. But if you play right, you can get a lot of free hits off on Earth. You can run pretty good defense with this. It's not the best, but it's definitely super fucking annoying. Trying to look at who else. Space Godzilla, pair him with your Earth, and he's going to give your Earth a damage boost, and his pathing kind of will fuck things up for your Earth, but it also will help generate crystals, which will make it a little bit more difficult for your opponent to target your Earth. If he's just pumping out crystals ahead of your unit, you know, he can block Gigan 4s, he can block Mothra Leos, he can distract the other Earth. So Space Godzilla is definitely very underrated this season. Pans has been using him a lot, I've seen. There's some other players that are trying to stack up with Space Godzilla and Earth. It's a really difficult combo to break, especially if you have him at higher levels. Space Godzilla is one that I recommend for sure. Batra is good. Batra is always a decent option with that damage boost, so having a damage boost in the field is really good. Burning Godzilla, Fire Rodan. Fire Rodan will give the heals and the speed boost at first, so the speed boost is fine. You don't really need it with Earth, but if you want to put the pressure on your opponent, you totally can, and the heal is phenomenal, so healing that Earth is ridiculous. Burning Godzilla, decent damage, decent health, decent explosion. He's fine. Jet Jaguar, singular point, he can block 2 free. The first 2 hits of damage against him, he'll block 100% of the damage from it. And his DPS is actually higher than Biolante's DPS, except when Biolante has the 80% damage boost. Biolante is one of the highest DPS characters in the game. He beats out her DPS, or at least he did at one point. I'm pretty sure he still does. He beats out her DPS as long as she's not in the water. Trying to think of some other good options. I've been using Kamen Rider here and there throughout the season. I don't think he's super important, but he was fun when Gauss was everywhere. If you're running a rush deck, you could use Unit 0 for the shield. She blocks she has like a 70% damage like block or whatever it is. I don't remember what the exact verbiage they use. Guard state reduces damage taken by 70% from her, and then she's rush out and do an explosion, so that's fine. Kids, if you want to use kids to move your pieces around, that's fine. It's not going to be super reliable, but the Monsterverse characters of Mothra 2019 and Ghidorah 2019, really good picks. Ghidorah pairs really well with Earth because they both have really high health, really high damage, so they're both very expensive, so you use the energy base with them, but it makes your Earth a lot harder to deal with if you are running Ghidorah. And Mothra in 2019 does what Super X does, except when she dies, she is going to give 2 extra energy to your energy pool, so she's a 6 cost, but when she dies, she gives you back 2, so she basically counts as a 4, and every hit that she does from her super long range is a slow. Slows work on Earth. Freezes don't, but slows do. She's probably the best unit to deliver slows in the game right now. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully these tips serve you well. Hopefully it makes you feel a little bit better about the meta or helps you plan out your deck a little bit more. Let me know what you guys think about this kind of video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.